I have a question and something I'd like to give commentary on. Is it bad to be religious? And my the reason I'm mentioning this is because in some churches you'll hear people talk about, oh, I'm not talking about being religious. Religion is bad. We don't have a religion. We have a relationship with Jesus. We don't have religion, and you'll hear that kind of stuff. And then you hear that in a lot of evangelical churches, and then within the evangelical churches and charismatic churches, you'll hear there's other ideas about being religious that. Um, there are Christians that are religious, and then there are Christians that are um, whatever the real spiritual, or what I don't know what the opposite would be in that case. And then you'll hear people say, "Oh, they got a spirit of religion or a religious spirit," and all this kind of stuff. Well, is it bad? Is religion a dirty word? Is religion a bad thing? Well, let's look at what the Bible says, and then we'll compare it to the way the word's being trashed or used in modern times here. In the translations that we have now, including the King James Version. This is a New King James, and I would imagine the NIV also uses the word religion here. In James 1:27, he says, "Pure and undefiled religion before God and the Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their trouble, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world." Okay, so this is religion. This is a good kind of religion, pure religion, undefiled religion. It's your visiting widows, you're visiting orphans. I think the King James says the fatherless. And you're keeping yourself from sin. You're keeping yourself from being spotted by the world. And so those are good things. It's religion. Wow. So there's a good example of religion in the translations we're using. And I think this is all semantics. This is preacher rhetoric, that and preachers redefining words. In the maybe the 70s or the 80s, they started redefining the word religion to be something bad. I think pious got taken out the same way. Pious used to be a good thing too. Means something like probably what the Greek word translated godly means, or godliness doesn't mean to have, etymologically, to have the attribute of God, but to be pious about your faith and try to be holy, or try to be serious about your faith and then be pious. Well, here now, religion, the word religion is getting trashed. And my concern with this is, if you take away the word religion out of the English language, then you just make it difficult to communicate with unbelievers. They don't know our evangelical subculture definition of the word religion, that it's supposed to be a bad thing. And I went into a church service one time, and the preacher said, "I'm not talking about being religious. Being religious is a bad thing." And I thought, if I were an unbeliever who had never been to a church, and when I walked in there and I heard that, I would have thought, that's weird. Why is everybody here at church? If we're being religious is a bad thing, why don't we just go home and sleep late on Sunday morning? And they have no idea what the subtleties of the way we've redefined words. I had one preacher in the 80s who's a pretty famous preacher. He said that Christianity is he said religion is man reaching out to God, and Christianity is God reaching out to man. Sounds great, sounds profound, but if you think about it, isn't man supposed to reach out to God? Doesn't the book of Jeremiah say, "Seek me and you will find me if you search for me with all of your heart"? Hasn't God put grace in our heart to reach out for Him? Let's see, I believe it's the Mars Hill sermon, or perhaps, yeah. Anyway, one of the sermons of Paul, he says that about God, that God had given all these good things to men, and peradventure they might reach out for, not exactly reach out for Him, but something along those lines. So it's a good thing for men to seek after God, and if we have grace from God to help us seek after Him, that's a good thing. And it's there's a two-way relationship here. We've got to have our let me use the word religion. We've got to have our reaching out for God. Now, some people have redefined religion to be anything bad that has to do with religion, and they just take that as the word religion. But then, and I saw one video where people were saying it's not a religion, it's a relationship, and there's teens talking back and forth, and there were some Christian teens and non-Christian teens discussing Christianity, and the non-Christian teen says, "Well, when I think about your relationship, because they kept getting corrected whenever they said the word religion." And I think it just has become this weird thing where in personal evangelism, where people have been programmed not to use the word religion, And so they'll talk to the person who doesn't believe in Christianity and say, "Oh no, no, it's not a religion. It's not a religion." The other person's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" And then they try to figure out how to communicate without using the word religion. What are our alternatives here? If we don't use the word religion, what are we going to use? Faith? Are we going to call Buddhism faith? Are we going to call Judaism without Jesus faith? Paul said about the Jews that did not believe in Jesus that they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law. And he talked about the law being a schoolmaster, and then he said that until faith appears, until faith was revealed. I'm sorry, until faith was revealed. So Christianity is faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And if you're not going to call Christianity and Buddhism and all these things religions, then are you going to call them faiths? Can we call the other ones faiths? I mean, we have to call Christianity's faith. So I think it's a much better alternative than that. The only really legitimate beef against the word religion, except for the fact that so many people have demonized the word, is the fact that it comes from a Latin word religio, which referred to the state religion, and superstitio. I'm butchering Latin; they're probably getting it wrong, but anyway, the word we get superstition from that referred to all the mystery religions. And I don't know whether Judaism or Christianity would have been called a superstitio or whatever. So anyway, please, I did not study Latin in school. I did some other languages in college, but so please don't persecute me for my lack of Latin knowledge. Anyway, so yeah, but when you're going to bash words for their Latin roots, then sinister means left-handed, and even worse, music is a Greek. This Greek word comes from a Greek word that refers to pagan goddesses that supposedly gave songs and other things to poets and anyway, the arts and all that. There are a lot of other, and mentor is one Greek professor, a retired Greek professor, described it as a materialized demon. He's a Christian. Mentor in the Iliad, or yeah, anyway, one of those stories, one of the goddesses appeared as a man named Mentor and told Telemachus to look for his father. So anyway, that word is also has a shoddy etymology. In the days of the week, in the months of the days of the months, I don't mind if we all had a consensus to get rid of those pagan words. So anyway, so yeah, my point is, if you're talking to somebody who's not a Christian, don't get all hung up over using the word religion. Um, I think one of the ways you can just like accuse somebody without any, just throw a label on them or try to accuse them of something bad without having much substance to your accusation or having a clear accusation, is to accuse somebody of being religious. You're religious in a bad way, or you have a spirit of religion. And well, they got the spirit of pure religion. Good for them. The problem with religion is vain religion. Is when people don't bridle their tongue, and they deceive their own heart, and their religion is useless. So that's what the verse prior to that in James says in James 1:26. So we don't want to have vain religion. We want to live out our Christian faith in a good, godly way. And there still are Christians who use the word religion in a positive way. And if you read anything from over, I don't know, 70 years ago, religion is also often used to refer to Christianity. Someone was saying Finney uses it in a very positive context. So you can read it in all kinds of, Puritan writings and just any of those old writings about theology or faith or Christianity. You're going to come across the word religion if it's in English, and it's usually used in a very positive way. So keep that in mind. Let's not trash words that we need to be able to communicate in our language, unless you got some other word that everybody else agrees is a good word, or you got some good reason for trashing the word that you want to get rid of. We play a lot of semantic games. We make doctrines out of preachers' semantic games and rhetoric, and it becomes doctrine, or it becomes something that's almost a mark of orthodoxy. I think we need to be careful about that, and just be wise and try to communicate with other people in a reasonable way. God bless you, and thank you for watching my video.